Shalom, my friends, from here in Israel. Last night, once again, we had a ballistic missile launched from Yemen, from the Houthi terrorists, into Israel. And this has become almost a nightly occurrence. They've been launching ballistic missiles and drones into central Israel. Yesterday, they launched it into northern Israel. And this is significant because Israel, as everyone knows, is in a war for our survival, and we're fighting this war on 7 different fronts. The last front that has not yet been weakened are the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. Now, this is significant both from a practical point of view of understanding who are they sponsored by, what's their motivation, why are they doing this, and also to see it, as I see everything, through spiritual eyes. So I hope that I'll give you a little bit of clarity here. And if this is interesting and informative to you, make sure to share it with your friends and with your church groups and with all of your circles, because people need to understand what's happening in the world. I believe the terrorists that are threatening Israel are the same terrorists that are threatening America. We saw an attack, of course, in New Orleans, a horrible attack by a terrorist who was an ISIS sympathizer. And these are the same terrorists that are targeting Israel. They're the same terrorists that are going for first what they say are the Saturday people, the Jews, and then the Sunday people, the Christians. They're going for first the little Satan, which they call Israel, and then the big Satan, which is America. And so it's important that wherever you are, you understand what's happening globally and understand who these Houthi terrorists are in Yemen. Well, it all goes back to Iran. Iran has wanted to destroy Israel and America forever. And since the Ayatollahs took over, since there was the revolution in Iran and the Ayatollahs took over, they wanted to destroy the West. They wanted to destroy Israel. But they don't want to do it from their own land. They don't want to launch missiles and attacks from Iran directly because they don't want to be bombed in return. And so they've set up proxies, mini terror groups, mini Iranian terror groups, little Iranian armies all across the Middle East in order to initiate this terror, in order to attack the Western targets, and that Iran ultimately, because it didn't come from their soil, won't be attacked in return. And so they've set up these mini proxies in some of the poorest countries across the Middle East. They go specifically for the people who have nothing else to live for because they live in such poor, difficult countries. And then they give them weapons and say, have a purpose in your life. Your purpose is to destroy Israel. And they've created a whole backwards religion out of that. Where has Iran set up these proxy terror groups? In Lebanon, through Hezbollah, in the Gaza Strip, through Hamas, in Syria, and in Yemen, through the Houthis. Now, of course, Israel has been attacked for the past 15 months from all of those fronts, including Iran, but more so through their proxies. We've had tens of thousands of Iranian rockets and drones launched both by Hezbollah in Lebanon, of course, by Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and they're continuing to launch rockets. Almost every single day this week, Hamas has been launching rockets at southern Israel from the Gaza Strip. But all those proxies have been weakened. Israel has miraculously, it's the story of Samson and Goliath. It's the story of the Maccabees, just like Purim, the small being able to defeat the mighty, because small, tiny Israel, the size of New Jersey, is fighting with God. We're fighting for these values that protect human life, that sanctify human life, and we're going up against these Iranian terror proxies that just want to destroy freedom, destroy life, and seek death. And so God has been amazing at performing miracles for Israel and being able really to weaken the terror proxies on our border, who are all sponsored by Iran. And so Iran has seen one by one their terror proxies that they've invested so much money into fall. They've seen Hezbollah in Lebanon fall. They've seen Hamas in Gaza fall. They've seen Syria, where they were investing so much money in arms. They've seen Syria fall. Who does that leave? That leaves only one terror proxy left, and those are the Houthis in Yemen. Now, Yemen is one of the poorest countries in the world. I think it's the second country in the world where the most amount of people die from malnutrition. They don't have food. They don't have clean water. They don't have education. They're one of the poorest countries in the entire world. And yet they're spending so much money through Iran launching these ballistic missiles at Israel. There are many people in Yemen right now who are against the Houthis. They know that not only is this affecting Israel through the missiles, but it's even affecting Egypt. There's words that Egypt, Israel's neighbor, is going to attack the Houthis in Yemen as well because it's affecting the shipping through the Suez Canal. Billions of dollars are being lost to Egypt and to shipping globally because of these Houthi terrorists in Yemen. It's a global threat, not just to Israel threat, and yet Israel is the only one who's getting the ballistic missiles launched at our cities every single day, and so we have a unique interest. Now, America has given so much incentive for these Houthi terrorists to stop launching missiles at Israel and to stop launching missiles at the shipping Suez Canal and to stop terror completely. And I look at this story through spiritual eyes, just as I look at the story of, can you guess who? A pharaoh in Egypt. After the plagues began, when the Nile rivers turned to blood and Pharaoh knew that God was punishing him, he was so hard-necked, we learn in the Bible. God hardened his heart and he said, I know that my people are going to suffer for this, but I'm not going to let the Jewish slaves go. He was totally irrational because of his ego. Pharaoh, even though he saw that he was defeated because God was on the side of the Israelites' feet for freedom, Pharaoh back then said, nope, I'm not letting the Israelites go. Moses said, let my people go or there are going to be plagues. They had blood that turned their river into something that couldn't feed their crops, that couldn't satiate them when they needed to drink. People were dying. And still Pharaoh said, because of his ego, no, I will not do what's good for the Jews. And that's what I feel like is happening now with Iran and all of these terror proxies. Iran has seen Hezbollah be weakened. They've seen Hamas be weakened. They've seen Syria fall. And their last standing place of terror are these poor Yemenites, Houthi terrorists that are destroying the entire country. And America says, here's a way out. Stop doing this terror and we'll help you. And what does Iran tell the Houthis? No, don't stop. Continue launching at Israel because you hate the Jewish people so much that even if it's going to destroy your country that's already poor, that's already starving, that already doesn't have clean water and education, it doesn't matter. Continue launching attacks at the Jews because we will never give up trying to destroy the Jews, even if it means taking down the entire country. Lebanon has been destroyed because of Hezbollah. Gaza has been destroyed because of Hamas. Syria has been destroyed because of Iranian terrorists there that they've set up. And now Yemen. Iran is destroying the Middle East simply because they hate freedom, they hate the Jews, they hate Israel, and this isn't something new, this is something biblical. And so I continue to believe that just as God has performed miracles for us in the past, he continues to perform miracles for us today. He'll continue to perform miracles and preserve Israel and the Jewish people, protect us, because we know the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. We know that he is our watchman on the walls of Jerusalem. And I encourage you to get to know what's happening in the world, to understand what's happening, because the threat against Israel is a threat against America and Europe and every single person who cherishes freedom. And this war against the Jewish people, anti-Semitism, as old as the Bible itself, is also a war against the Christians. We see Christian persecution across the Middle East. We saw a Christmas tree being burned in Syria. We see Christians being threatened. The only place where the Christian community is actually protected and growing in the entire Middle East is in Israel. We stand together in this, and so we have to understand these threats. This is a clear situation of good over evil and bad that's trying to destroy the good. And God tells us very, very clearly in the scriptures, Ohavei Hashem sinu ra, lovers of the Lord despise evil. And so we have to stand together. That just as we've been able to weaken so many arms of this terror octopus all coming out of Iran, we have to continue to fight this fight, because this is really a fight for survival of Western values, of freedom, of democracy, of cherishing and sanctifying life. So God bless you on this beautiful morning, and I believe that Yeshuat Hashem Keherfain, redemption from the Lord, can come in the blink of an eye. In an instant, God can bless us with peace. In an instant, God can destroy the enemies. In an instant, he can change their hearts. And so pray with me for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray with me that we will see a full turnaround and that good will ultimately shine and take over all of the bad and darkness that's trying so hard to take over this world. We believe good always wins. We believe light always chases out the darkness. That's what faith in a loving God is, and that's what I believe is going to happen. So shalom from here in the Holy Land, and as we say in Hebrew, Shavua Tov. Have a blessed, wonderful week.